The arena fell silent as the massive creature emerged from the shadows of the holding pen. Standing 12 feet tall on its hind legs, the HFY Warbeast was a nightmare made flesh. Scales that gleamed like obsidian armor, claws that could rend steel, and eyes that burned with an intelligence far too ancient for its muscular frame. Its roar shook the reinforced walls of the Galactic Combat Syndicate's most prestigious facility. Commander Zektar of the Valorian Empire leaned forward in his observation booth, mandibles clicking with anticipation. 5 centuries, he rumbled to his aide. 5 centuries since the last warbeast was captured from the forbidden sectors. 27 species have tried to tame it. All have failed. Below in the arena, the beast paced in tight circles, its massive head swiveling to track every movement in the stands above. The electromagnetic barriers hummed with barely contained energy, the only thing standing between the creature and the thousands of spectators who had come to witness what many believed would be another failure. "The humans are next," Zektar's aide whispered, consulting his datapad. "Though I cannot fathom why the Syndicate approved such a small delegation." Indeed, walking through the arena's entrance was perhaps the most unlikely group ever to face a warbeast. No powered armor, no neural inhibitors, no sonic pacifiers, just 3 humans in simple clothing. An elderly man with gentle eyes, a middle-aged woman with calloused hands, and between them, a child no more than 8 Earth years old. The crowd's murmur turned to outright confusion. The Thraxian delegates hissed their disapproval. The crystalline Zephyrians chimed discordantly. Even the usually composed Etherians flickered with uncertainty. "This is madness," Zektar growled. "The humans have sent a family to face a creature that destroyed a battalion of Nexus battle mechs." The warbeast had stopped pacing, its burning gaze fixed on the small human child, who walked forward without fear while the adults remained near the entrance. The creature's head tilted, a gesture almost curious. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the human delegation booth, her heart hammering against her ribs. As Earth's lead xenobiologist, she had studied every available record of warbeast encounters. The creatures were not mindless killing machines. They were highly intelligent, capable of complex problem-solving and emotional responses. But they had never shown anything but aggression toward other species. Until now. The child, Emma Reeves, age 8, approached the invisible barrier between herself and certain death. Her grandfather, a retired veterinarian, and her mother, a wildlife rehabilitation specialist, had coached her for weeks. But as Emma raised her small hand toward the towering beast, she was acting purely on instinct. "Hello," she said simply, her voice somehow carrying in the vast arena despite its softness. The warbeast lowered its massive head until it was level with the child. This close, Emma could see that its eyes weren't just burning with rage. There was pain there, old and deep. The kind of pain she recognized from the injured animals her family helped. "You're scared," Emma said, not as a question, but as a gentle observation. "You don't understand why you're here." A ripple went through the crowd. The universal translators were working, but the tone in the child's voice needed no translation. It was the same tone used by every sapient species when comforting the hurt and frightened. The beast's nostril slits flared as it drew in the child's scent. Its massive claws scraped against the floor, but it made no aggressive move. Emma closed her eyes and thought of every wounded creature her family had ever helped. The terrified wolf caught in a trap. The injured eagle that had crashed into their barn, the way her grandfather always knew exactly what to say, what name to call them. When she opened her eyes, she spoke a single word. Friend. But she didn't. Speak it in standard Galactic, or even in English. Somehow, impossibly, she spoke it in the ancient Cytherian language, a tongue that had been dead for millennia, known only to xenoarchaeologists who studied the extinct civilization. The effect was instantaneous. The warbeast's head snapped up, its eyes wide with something that looked remarkably like recognition. It pressed against the barrier, not in aggression, but in desperate hope. In the observation booth, Commander, Zektar's aide nearly dropped his datapad. Sir, our linguistic computers are detecting impossible readings. The child just spoke in Proto-Cytherian, but the language matrices show the word doesn't mean friend in any conventional sense. Then what does it mean? Zektar demanded. According to the ancient texts, it means one who remembers the lost children. Dr. Chen felt tears streaming down her face as understanding dawned. The warbeasts weren't weapons at all. They were the last survivors of the Cytherian civilization, children who had been genetically modified to survive when their homeworld died. For millennia, they had been captured, caged, and forced to fight, with no one understanding what they truly were. Lost children, waiting for someone to remember their names. Emma pressed her palm against the barrier, and the warbeast mirrored the gesture with its massive claw. "I see you," she whispered in the ancient tongue, the words coming, to her as naturally as breathing. "I remember." The barriers powered down. As the crowd held its collective breath, the warbeast stepped forward and gently nuzzled the tiny human child who had spoken its true name. For the first time in 5 centuries, it made a sound that wasn't a roar, a soft, melodic trill that sounded remarkably like a lullaby. The Galactic Combat Syndicate would never hold another warbeast fight. Within days, human xenolinguists would work with the freed creatures to rebuild what remained of Cytherian culture. The galaxy would learn that sometimes the greatest strength isn't the ability to conquer, it's the ability to listen, to remember, and to recognize the lost children among the monsters. And Emma Reeves, the 8-year-old girl who had whispered a forgotten name, would grow up to become the galaxy's first ambassador to the lost, helping species across the stars find their way home.